Welcome to what is maybe the first episode of, well, I don't really know what I'm calling it. This says the Joe Pontillo show. This was given to me by some fans. I have so few, but the ones I do have are really cool and really appreciative. I performed at this guy's 40th birthday party, and then they loved what I did so much, they started coming to all my shows. And after several shows, decided to make me a sign, because that's how you reward people for making you laugh and buy 2 drinks on a regular basis. So thank you to those people. They're great. And they don't have a website. Otherwise, I would plug that right now. Anyway, trying something new here. I don't know what's happening. Maybe it's the Joe Pontillo show. Maybe it's the Joe Pontillo experience. Maybe it's Joe Pontillo live. Or maybe it's guy talks to no one in a fake studio. Doesn't matter. But we're here, and just it's not. Is it a podcast? Is it a talk show? I don't know. I wanted to wear something nicer, but I feel like now if you look at like Instagram and TikTok, everyone's posting reels of themselves doing podcasts, and they just seem to be wearing less and less clothing. And at first I was kind of like, what is this about? Like, soon it's just, everyone's just going to be naked. It's just going to be like, welcome to the naked pod, today. Because I don't know. It does get very hot when you do this for a long time. And then you can't, run any appliances, air conditioning or anything. So you're kind of just at the mercy of whatever the temperature is in the room. And talking about comedy or talking about bodybuilding or music or movies gets really heated. So this is why people are wearing less and less clothes on podcast clips. And you know what it is too? Podcasts were meant to be listened to. So you didn't know what the people were wearing. Now you have to film everything. Everyone wants to see the podcast. I am, at least for this episode, not going to pretend that there's someone else on the show. It's just me. If this one goes well, I'll probably have a guest next time. If it doesn't go well, I will delete this off YouTube and wherever else I post it. All right, let's jump in. The Super Bowl was yesterday. The Kansas City Chiefs defeated the 49ers. I forget what the score was. It's not really important. It felt very boring. But mercifully, it's all over now. And that's really all that matters. I personally didn't care about the whole Taylor Swift situation. I know there are a lot of people on the internet who are just absolutely enraged by it. And while I definitely think there's a fakeness and a silliness to the whole thing, I don't think it was all part of some grand conspiracy to either destroy the NFL or destroy America. I don't know. I think America's going to be all right. Well, maybe not. But you know what I mean. Like yesterday was like, the hodgepodge of everything America. It's like, here's some crazy commercials and an extreme show of force by the military. And then football. And then Taylor Swift. And then, man, the commercials weren't really great this year. Not very memorable. I don't need to see Ben Affleck plugging Dunkin' Donuts I'm sorry. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm over it. He's not that interesting. Just stick to looking sad for memes. That's really what the internet wants, Ben. Okay? Just make really sad and tragic looking poses and facial expressions while Jennifer Lopez is doing something far more interesting. That's what the internet wants. Focus on that. A lot of religious commercials, and I'm easily swayed by, a good ad. So I changed religions 4 times yesterday. I think I, became Catholic. I was already sort of Catholic, but now really Catholic. Then I became a Scientologist, and then I think I became Jewish by the end of it. Also, I bought a ton of stuff off temu. I thought it was Temu. Apparently, it's temu, which kind of sounds like a terrible name. I'm sorry. Temu sounds like the name of a rare bird that maybe poisons you if it bites you. Stay away from that island. It's filled with temus. Maybe not a bird. I feel like birds wouldn't poison you. Some sort of lizard, perhaps? Yeah, the running temu. Anyway, good for Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. I'm very happy for them. I wish many Super Bowls for them. She should date a comedian next. I would love to see that. That would be very funny because obviously it's all about her facial expressions after, somebody does something. So, like, imagine, if you will, a comedian that's dating Taylor Swift doing like a Netflix special or Comedy Central Presents. Does that even still exist anymore? I have no idea. Is there even comedy on Comedy Central anymore? That's a good question. As soon as I get a producer, I'm going to inquire about that. But yeah, imagine Taylor Swift's comedian boyfriend doing their special, and literally after every joke, they just cut to her. Oh, he's doing relationship material. It's a bit much, okay? Like, we get it. It wasn't a grand scheme to, like, topple the NFL or make sports uncool. The game itself did that because the game was very boring. And, yeah, like I said, not that many good commercials. I guess there was a trailer for the new Deadpool movie, which is coming out this year. So Marvel, we'll get into some Marvel stuff here. Everyone hates Marvel. They don't hate Marvel, but people are over it, and I get it. I gotta say, the Deadpool movie looks like a lot of fun. I think it's the only movie they're releasing this year, which I think is what Marvel needs to do. Marvel needs to starve their fans. Like, they 2020 happened. There was no Marvel content. No shows. There was nothing new. There was nothing new to watch. What am I gonna watch? Old stuff? Am I gonna read a book? Nightmare of a year. And then 2021, there was like 8 Marvel shows and 6 Marvel movies, and some of it was good and some of it was not good. And speaking of the not good stuff, there was a very funny news story. I guess it was this past week, where Kumail Nanjiani, allegedly a comedian, but you wouldn't tell by reading his Twitter feed, which is my favorite thing. These so-called comedians, who just go on like Twitter and Facebook and just make the most like serious, like miserable political posts, like Trump, GOP, this, that. And it's like, it's okay to like have views and opinions, but like talk about literally anything else, and then they like post some like very serious, like tragic political thing. And then they're like, and then see me this week at Teehees in Aberdale, Michigan. I don't think that's a real place, but it should be. It's really got to stop. So Kumail Nanjiani was in the movie The Eternals, which is a movie that I think not only are audiences hoping to forget, but it seems like Marvel and Disney are just trying to pretend that it never happened. So this is a problem. So there's an issue in Hollywood where clearly all the wrong people are making decisions. And somebody, following the 2 biggest, comic book movies of all time, back to back, the 2 Avengers movies, was like, okay, here's how we're going to follow it up. We're going to make a movie about a character we just killed, and these other obscure characters from the 70s that, like, nobody knows about. And at no point was anyone like, maybe we shouldn't. Or maybe they did do that, and they were immediately removed from the building and, arrested. I'm not sure. You can't stop progress here. So they made this movie, The Eternals. And look, Kumail Nanjiani, I watched the movie. He's barely in it. He's probably like the most interesting character. And he's in it like 8 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. And then the second most interesting character, I think, was Selma Hayek's character. She gets killed off in the first 10 minutes. And you're left with these other Eternals who are all these very just dull and bland and uninteresting characters. And the best part is they keep reminding you how dull and uninteresting they are by being like, oh, we've been here for thousands of years and we've done nothing. We're just here in case something happens. And then basically admit that like all the terrible things that have happened in the Marvel universe to this point, they just kind of let happen. They're just, we're just here eating. This guy has a podcast. This guy grows weird vegetables. I don't even know. I don't remember any of the characters. That's how forgettable they were. I only remember Kumail Nanjiani's character because he was like an actor or something. And he somehow, or is he actor or something? He's in entertainment in the movie. Whatever. He was fine. So anyway, the big story was he was sad, which is my favorite thing when someone in Hollywood's like, I made a bad movie and it got bad reviews and I'm sad and I went to therapy. You went to therapy because the movie that was obviously terrible got bad reviews? Please, please. I hope he sent Marvel and Disney the bill. That's all I'm going to say. And I hope the therapist was like, well, can I see this movie first? Let me decide. Oh, yeah, you probably just shouldn't have said yes to this garbage. That's really all. Like, I don't know. These people need to shut up. He's made plenty of good movies. You know, you can't let one bad review take you down, just like you can't let one bad YouTube comment make you stop doing whatever you're doing. Oh my God. Is somebody going to leave a bad comment? Probably. Yeah, so whatever. That's that. But the Deadpool movie looks good. I think it's the only Marvel movie they're coming out with this year. That's for the best. That'll be good. That'll reset people. All the internet people who get very angry at every Marvel project now will, get to breathe and be like, there's nothing to hate for like 6 months. What am I going to hate? I'm going to hate past things? I'm going to hate movies that might come out? Because that's what you do. That's what the internet's all about, getting angry. So the Deadpool trailer, he's wearing a wig at the beginning of it. It's very funny. Maybe I'll put a picture up. But if you haven't seen the trailer, kind of looks like he's cosplaying as Josh Brolin, which I think is very funny because Josh Brolin was, of course, Cable in the last Deadpool movie, and he's Thanos. And then I think he wrote a weird poem to Timothy Chalamet or something. Google that. That wasn't really big in the news. It was big on Twitter, though. Not big. I saw like one person posting about it. Anyway, so yeah, that's my Super Bowl rundown and covering all that. So I'm a stand-up comedian. I've been doing comedy for, it's at the point now where I think I'm becoming. You ever like look up a historical figure on Wikipedia and their birth date is like, well, they could have been born in 1862 or 1865. Who's to say? That's kind of what my stand-up career is right now. If it had a Wikipedia page, it would say like, started comedy maybe in 2004 or 2006. It really depends on which textbook you're reading. So yeah, we've been at this a long time. Something happened last week, a very sad and tragic thing. The owner of the Broadway Comedy Club and Greenwich Village Comedy Club, Al Martin, passed away, who, as far as club owners go in New York City, he was decent. Like, he was, I saw a lot of people post. Nobody posted anything negative about him. Not that anybody would, because that would be really messed up. But, he was an easy guy when I started. I remember he posted something. This might have been in a Yahoo group. This is how long ago it was. And he was like, we're looking for producers for New York Comedy Club. And I decided to do that. And then, and the trick was you would produce a show at the club. And even if the show wasn't great, even if you only got like 30, 40 people to come out, you would then get to put your avails in each week. And it was over the phone. This is how long ago this was. Some of the first people that I tried to work with in comedy, you would have to call and be like, hey, it's Joe Pontillo. Just wanted to see if anything's going on. And they'd be like, nothing is going on. How did you get this number? And that's where, how I got my start. There was one guy I would call constantly, and he had like 2 gigs. He had like 1 gig in Jersey and 1 gig in Connecticut. And he booked me exactly once. And he'd be like, keep calling me. He would just tell you to keep calling. It was very insane. And you would just keep calling this person and they would just never answer. And you wouldn't even leave a voice message because they weren't going to call you back. But if you happened to call them on the right day at the right time, they'd pick up and be like, yeah. And you'd be like, it's Joe Pontillo. Oh, I might have a show. That's how it used to work. That's right. I'm in Brooklyn. It's very noisy. There's an air conditioner in the window. Long story. So if you hear anything weird, I apologize. We're going to work on that for the next episode now. So anyway, so yeah, used to call in avails, and then you would call back the week of or whatever. I don't know if it was Sunday or Monday, and Al would in kind of hilarious fashion would run down the all the spots for the week. It'd be like Tuesday 10:20 Joe Pontillo. He would sometimes do voices for some of the names, and what else would he do? Oh, and then it's funny because as it went on, he started to like open the avails phone message by ranting about like, don't leave me a message if you're about to jump on the subway. Don't leave me a message if you're out to lunch with your friends. I will immediately delete it. And it was very funny. So yeah, that was very cool. And like when I started doing comedy, I felt like one of the big, I don't know, gets was that, I'm getting spots at a New York City comedy club, because I started doing comedy kind of in this weird time. It was long after like the 80s and 90s boom had ended, but it was like just before the internet blew up. And then, once the internet blew up, everybody was a comedian. And that's a big problem with this industry now. Because it used to be years ago after a show, someone would come up to you and go, oh, my cousin's girlfriend's sister-in-law, she does comedy. Do you know her? And you'd be like, no, of course not. And, and now someone comes up to you after a show and they go, hey, I do comedy. Do you know me? They're everywhere. It's really, it's insane. And like, New York Comedy Club and a Broadway Comedy Club, and then later Greenwich Comedy Club, they were all owned by Al. He doesn't own New York Comedy Club anymore. But, so here's the thing that used to happen in New York City comedy. What still happens, but I feel like it happens less because you don't need it anymore. There are these things called bringer shows. And if you're not in stand-up comedy, a bringer show is basically you bring your friends or whoever you can find last minute, other comedians at this point, because there's so many, and they come watch you perform and spend a lot of money, and you do 7 minutes, 10 minutes, 6 minutes, half a minute. Depends. Sometimes it's a bringer show because someone's there who's going to watch you. They're probably not. Or, if you do 3 of these, you get 1 normal spot at the club. And people really have grown to hate them over the years. And they're right. And there's a lot of creepy and weird people who run them. They're kind of a scam, kind of a Ponzi scheme. I don't know. There was one guy back in the day who was like, hey, if you get 3 people to bring people to my show, I'll give you 1 spot. And we don't need to get into that. But yeah. But you're young and you're like, I could do that. Anyway, but I lots of regrets. Not really regrets, but because it's all part of the growing and becoming a less terrible process throughout the years. Anyway, but now a lot of people really despise bringer shows. A lot of new comedians. And I think a big part of it is no one needs bringer shows anymore because, at least in New York City, like it used to be like, oh, the clubs were so important. You got to perform at the clubs. And now it's kind of like, well, you could just perform anywhere. Get your stage time wherever you can, whether it's a bar or a coffee shop. I've done a very good show in a barber shop multiple times. It's really nuts. Like you don't have to be, you want to be performing at comedy clubs because, they have real bricks, but they don't. It's wherever you get your stage time, get better wherever you are. The only good thing, and maybe it's not even a good thing, I'll say about bringer shows is when I started doing comedy, I feel like they were a good way of weeding people out. No one quits anymore. And that's kind of a problem to an extent. Like because like bringer shows are just so terrible that the normal person can only handle so much of that before they're just like, this isn't worth it anymore. Everybody I started doing comedy with quit. They're gone. I'm the only one who's left. Maybe one person moved to LA. I'm not even sure if they do comedy anymore, but they're at least in the industry. That's it. And it's because, you know, like, I just kept doing bringer show for like 2 years. I don't know, my friends just kept coming. My dad would always bring people. And then at some point I produced my own show, and I'm like, oh, I could just get the people who come to these other shows to just come to my show. Why didn't I think of that a year ago before I made a bunch of people hate me? So, yeah, and so that doesn't really happen anymore. Yeah, bringer shows still happen, and I feel like most of them, well, no, I don't know what the situation is, but I know there's a few of them that you do, and, you know, they're like an industry showcase, and then, the booker watches, and maybe you get some regular spots, and then you're out again 2 months later and have to do the whole process over and over again. But yeah, I was doing bringer shows so long. I was doing them at this one place on Long Island, which this was so long ago. This was before the clubs on Long Island all used to be owned by different people. So the guy who owned the brokerage in Belmore saw that I kept bringing a big crowd, and he's like, you know, you don't have to do these bringer shows anymore. Come and do just like a regular Thursday, but, you know, please promote it and bring people. So basically, he booked me as a bringer on a fundraiser show, like the regular Thursday night showcase. Not a bringer show, just a bringer comic on the regular pro showcase show on a Thursday. And at the time, I was like, oh, this is huge. Yeah, I'm just doing a regular ass show. I'm not doing some dumb open mic or bringer show. And like 40 people came to see me. And beforehand, the guy was like, yeah, you're going to do 15 minutes. And then the night of, he goes, oh, yeah, you're doing 10. And I go, I brought like half the audience. And he's like, oh, all right, I guess you could do 11. So 40 people are there to see me do 11 minutes. I also think there were about 11 comedians on the show besides me, you know. And it went great. It was a great night. And I was paid $0. And after that, like, I feel like that was kind of the end of me allowing that to happen. And I remember my dad got very mad. He was just like, you got paid $0 for that? I'm going to talk to that guy. And, like, my dad's hilarious, but I never wanted him talking to comedy club owners or anything. He did one time go up to the guy that used to run the brokerage and was like, when are you going to pay my son? And the guy kind of just went, and like, out the door or something. I've tried to make a joke about it where, like, my dad went up to the guy and went, when are you going to pay my son? And then the guy just went, who's your son? And then my dad would have just went, the funny one. And then just, like, walked away. That's probably how it's going to go. But, yeah, that's... Yeah, so that's bringer shows for you. Like I said, they used to break people, and I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just really loved absorbing all that negativity. Maybe it helped make me what I am today. Guy recording a maybe episode of I don't know what this is. A podcast? Is it a talk show? You tell me. I haven't decided yet. Doesn't matter. Anyway, but if you like this show. First of all, like the video or the post that I make about it. Hit subscribe, leave a comment, and if you really like the show, dear God, send me some money. And who knows, the budget could increase on their show, and before you know it, I'll have guests, the producer, real bricks, the sign will be lit up, you won't hear traffic outside. It was actually pretty quiet considering. That's why I should probably wrap it up before like a garbage truck flips over, because that's what it's about. I love when I have to do an audition here and then, like, you know, police sirens go by and I'm like, should I just send it like this? It's for an episode of Law and Order, so whatever. Anyway, before I go, oh yeah, and rest in peace, Al Martin, by the way. There'll be a service tomorrow or something, some sort of gathering at Broadway Comedy Club. So this thing, I don't know if you can see this. It says, let's just put it right here, actually. Citation, which citation sounds like you did something wrong and the city's coming after you. I got this. This is very impressive looking. So, like, whatever it was, Superstorm Sandy happened in 2012. Long Island was ravaged, as you may recall. And in, like, I guess it was like the summer 2013, there was like a benefit show of some kind at Eisenhower Park. And I know somebody who can pull some strings in local government, and they were like, "Hey, do you want to do comedy for it?" And I was like, I don't know if I was the only comedian or there were several other comedians mixed in with bands and other musicians, but like comedy and music to me doesn't really go well together, especially in an event like that. Like families are there, they're all like camped out on the lawn, and then the guy running the event goes, "All right, well, give it up for Montauk's Worst." I don't know what the name of the band was. And now let's bring out a comedian from Valley Stream, Joe Pontillo. And I don't think it went well. And then I think I maybe referenced porn for some reason, something very benign. But as soon as that happened, the guy on stage was like, "Oh," and that was kind of it. But I still got the citation. So, and I don't think I helped benefit the victims of Superstorm Sandy whatsoever. But now I do, because I've not helped out, but I've appeared at the Hurricane, which takes place in East Rockaway, run by David Donovan. That's a yearly thing. Actually, twice. They do it twice a year. I wasn't at either one last year. I was very busy. But the year before, I actually did the raffle at Hurricane, and that still benefits. I guess the church got ruined by Hurricane Sandy, so, and even though it may be fixed by now, like, it's just a nice thing for the community. It's in East Rockaway. I think they're doing it in July this year. Hopefully I could be there with this citation that I will be auctioning off. I'll cross my name off. And this is about as useful as my college diploma, which also is just sitting on the floor in my apartment. I don't know if I should get rid of this or not. Again, it looks cool, but what's the reason for it? I don't know. Anyway, so thanks for watching. Like I said, please comment, like, whatever. Please tell me money. And and I got some shows coming up. So many places. I'm supposed to be in Pennsylvania, upstate New York. And then I got Lindenhurst on Saturday. Oh, Friday night, Broadway Comedy Club, 7:30, I think it's the show. Sunday in West Hempstead. And then I got Florida. I'm going to Orlando, Florida. And that's Bonkers Comedy Club. That should be fun. And then Friday, March 1st, Michael's Comedy Night in Island Park. Let's do it, people. Ticket link in my Instagram bio. And all right, that's it for me. Joe Pontillo. Whatever.